Alright, let's see what's going on here. You
The
may
soccer season ended fast.
the soccer season is ending
Yeah, this week.
next week. So what you
Yep.
gonna do at the end of the season?
I don't know.
You don't know? No worries. Yo, why were you telling me that you
You
were
know
like sad? You'd start texting me the other day that I'm sad.
when?
You texted me like oh here we go, like beginning of May. You're like, hey, I'm like, where'd you been? Because remember we were having trouble getting in contact. Like I was calling you and then you were calling me.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then you were like, I'm sad right now. Thigh Company has died for me. Thigh Company is ignoring me. He likes Alex more than me. Which I don't know. Why'd you get that idea from? And then you're like, no, it's all right. Go ahead, talk to Alex. I know he's better than me. And I'm like, what you mean by that? Yeah. Remember I told you I was sick and my grandfather's sick?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a long story. Remember I've been telling you I've been sick and you're like, oh, I think you've been sick because of your Turkish neighbors?
Mhm.
And you're like, whenever you go to their place, you get sick?
Mhm.
So I don't know what the case is exactly, to be honest. Um, and I don't like, I don't want to point fingers or say anything, but I'm gonna just say, my grandmother noticed that one of my, or what would you call it, an acquaintance of one of my neighbors
Mhm.
was making food one day, and she believes that person was not washing their hands.
Oh.
Yeah, and so connecting the dots on that, I won't be specific exactly, um, just for privacy reasons. My grandmother suspects that uh, this individual was in contact with something that was contaminated and somehow that passed along to me because she says that
Mhm.
after she ate, because remember I said I ate at one of my neighbor's places. She said that she ate some food there and then she had diarrhea the next day. And
Yeah, that's
my
definitely.
symptoms, problem is I don't even know what it is anymore because it's like it started up in October. And remember, I told you in October I was so sick that I got into the hospital. I was in the ER.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I was there for like what was it, like 2, 3 hours at most, maybe four. And then then I started realizing a bunch of different issues when it comes to like healthcare. So I don't
Mhm.
know what The problem is each state has their own system. So whatever is going on, like say here in North Carolina, is probably different than what's going on in Virginia. And from so what I did basically was I looked online and I found an insurance for like $180. Bought it and it started up like 1 or 2 days. I think it was maybe 24 hours, or I don't know if it was 24 hours or 48 hours after I bought it. The insurance started and I went to the hospital, but the insurance was like not the best because basically if I did not have insurance, the hospital bill would have been like $10,000 for those like few hours that I was there because they did a CT scan, they did blood work, they did urinalysis, where they basically check and see if there's anything in your urine that would show what you could be sick with. And
How much it cost?
what's that?
How much it cost again?
Like the bill came out to be prior to insurance like close to 10,000, and there was like things like I think 5,000 for the CT scan, like two three
Yeah.
hundred bucks for uh like each of those, like the blood works where they check your blood and then check your urine, and then it's like I think the ER services itself is like a few $1,000s too. uh
Oh.
and then it's like then they like what I call nickel and dime you, any kind of medication they give you, like for example they gave me Tylenol, and then for the abdominal pain that I had then, which was like lower right quadrant, which basically is raises concern for
No, so no.
appendicitis.
How much you got paid though?
Well, after my insurance, I think the bill came out to be like $3,000, so they covered like 70%.
Damn, dog, you going broke.
Well,
My nigga, you
yeah,
gotta start
basically you
working.
gotta go. Well, I think that I probably had something like a short notice plan or what they call a short term plan. But anyway, they thought I might have
Huh?
had appendicitis. They did after the scan. Uh,
Hey, oh.
they didn't find anything, and basically it was negative for appendicitis, and appendicitis is something where basically your appendix ruptures.
Oh, that's
And
what it was?
what's that?
That's what it was?
No, it was not. They checked for it, and it turned out, and the scan showed that it was negative. Basically, there was no signs of any.
Manuel.
What's that? So anyway, they basically gave me, I think it was 3 Tylenol. Then they gave me tramadol, which in North Carolina, tramadol is a controlled substance, um, which is basically a pain reliever. And the way the medical staff explained it to me, it's Tylenol's big brother. That's what they called it.
Why the fuck are you not paying? Why are you paying if they didn't find out?
Well, they rendered emergency services. You have to, it's a service.
Oh my god, so stupid. Should have never went.
So yeah, it basically it's like, they won't deny, if you're sick, they will not deny you service. They will basically, if you're dying or whatever would render the need for emergency services, they will not deny you. But in the United States, my understanding is that there's not really such thing as a free health care.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I would have to look into that. What exactly would be a free health care per se? But
Well, what
essentially,
do you mean? I have free healthcare.
you have free health care.
Yeah,
Well,
whole family do.
what's covering that health care?
I don't know, but everything.
Well, my advice would be to look into that because, like, basically in my case, to give you an example, it never occurred to me that the cost of healthcare, growing up. No one ever explained the system, explained what the costs are. Nobody said anything up until me pretty much finding out when I was like what 26, because that's when
That shit,
basically.
that shit covers everything.
Well, well, if that's the case that you have, then you're lucky pretty much. But as far as I can tell
No,
with my research, at least here in North Carolina, I don't know what the system is in Virginia. Um,
I haven't paid a single penny.
well, I understand because you still being technically a
No,
child by legal
talking
standards,
about
your
the,
parents
I'm talking
hold
about
responsibility over you.
the whole family.
Well, it
That
depends
shit,
on what the insurance what plan, because I don't know if you're if it's what the case is, if it's like your parent has an employment deal or employment insurance or coverage or something. It basically what I am trying to say is that there is a possibility that I don't know. It depends on the plan or whatever you have that's protecting you or covering costs. That it could be when you're 18, it could be when you're 26. In my case, I think it was 26. Where I end up finding out that hey, I don't have health insurance because I found out when I think it was my dentist started saying, hey, if you want to continue doing appointments, you got to pay this much because your insurance, according to our system, says it is expired. And then I'm like, what do you mean is expired? That doesn't make any sense. How does my insurance expire? And then doing research, it turns out the coverage would cover basic, the family plan that I think was my mother.
that shit's fucking weird.
Well, I know it sounds weird, but it's like it's by the policy of that company of per state. So every state
No,
has their
okay.
own rules and guidelines, which is regulated by whatever insurance or whatever there be. So anyway, once I got out of the hospital, it's like the day after that, all my symptoms went away, and November comes, and I find out that my dad falls into the hospital. I don't know if you remember that, or do you
I'm
remember
gonna
me
be
even
honest,
telling you
bro.
about
That's
that?
some, yeah.
Yeah, like he apparently like slipped and fell or something, and then because he had fallen, I think what I understood was that the lady he's living with came over and saw that he was sweating or something, and she called EMS or emergency services. And
Mm-hmm.
um, during transit from where they lived to the hospital, in the ambulance, apparently he had two heart attacks, and
Oh,
they
shit.
saved him. And then once he got to the hospital, they started doing a bunch of tests, and he had something like a blood clot somewhere in his chest, I believe. And basically, he recovered from that. But after further observation, it has come to my attention that there may be some sort of psychological, um, something in his memory or in his cognition that seems off to me. And I don't
Don't
know
know what the fuck that means,
what
but
the
okay.
case is. What's that?
Don't know what a cognition means, but okay.
Well, cognition basically is a word for the way you think. So cognitive function, for example, would be the way your mind works, like the way you think, the way cognitive function would cover your sight, the way you see things. Do you see things in black and white? Do you see things in color? Do you see things blurry, or do you see everything clear? Are you nearsighted? Are you farsighted? Are you cross-eyed? Does your peripheral vision works? Which peripheral vision means your vision that you see like on the far edges of your sight. So kind of like the corner of your eyes or corners of your vision or edge.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing, taste, touch, sense, memory. The way can you solve problems like, oh, I'm thirsty, my cup is empty, I need to go and to the sink and pour water, or do I need to go and find a bottle of water, open up the bottle of water and drink it? Things like that, which include math or problem solving basically. And memory, short-term memory, recent events, long-term memory, so stuff that's happened a while ago. And there seems to be something affecting.
For sure, man, for sure.
Yeah, there seems to be something affecting my dad to some degree, and it's unclear what it is. I have no idea if he's been evaluated. I don't know if a neurologist has taken a look at him. I don't know his
Oh, your
medical
dad,
history.
not your grandpa. Oh,
I don't
shit.
know what's going on. And after talking to a few people and talking to him for different many interviews, it seems to me that it's possible that something is off, but I can't confirm it because I don't have enough information. And I'm not a psychologist or somebody or a medical professional who would be able to diagnose something, but based off of symptoms that he shows, for example, issues with memory, issues of like following through with ideas, uh, it seems to me that there's something off. Like, I'll give you a recent example. So my grandfather was in the hospital, and while in the hospital, I went over to visit him to see how my grandfather's doing. But at the same time, I'm having pain on my right side, and it's kind of like side of the torso. And I'm calling my dad just to give him some
Grandpa.
information, give him an update to see how everything's going, and telling him that, hey, I, you know, granddad's in the hospital. He's doing better, but we're still watching over. He's stable, this and that. And then I continued the conversation saying, I haven't been feeling my best lately. I've been having some pain, this and that, and I explain what's going on. And we're talking about that, and then I'm like, it's something that's I think it's going to go away. And then I'm like, have you talked to your other family members recently? Have you talked to uh I give an example, Bobby, which Bobby is his first son, so like oldest child, and he's like, Bobby, oh yeah, I don't think I've talked to him recently. And then the lady who he's living with butts in, and she's like, well, he's called me. Oh yeah, Bobby has a list of doctors, all the doctors that you need to talk to that will fix you. I'm like, what do you mean? Does Bobby know all the doctors in North Carolina that are able to assist me? What are you talking about? And I'm asking this question, and he's like, oh yeah, Sal. What was her name? Mentions the lady's name, and he's like, this lady, she has the list of all the doctors who can treat each illness that you have. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, the lady has never been to North Carolina. And how would she know, what I'm sick with and what doctors would be able to treat what? So he starts kind of saying this nonsense that, things that don't add up and make any sense. And then I'm like, well, what are you talking about? And I respond to him like, what do you mean she has the doctors from my state that can treat what I'm, my symptoms? And he gets like, confused, and he's like, and he has what's called a not like a verbal tick. I think they call it a verbal murmur, where it's where it's a term that refers to when somebody during the middle of thought loses sort of track of the conversation of what they're saying, and they refer to making like a noise. Typically, for example, with most American people I know, they usually go, well, and then sometimes they may go like, they use words like or as, and they basically he gets stuck in the idea, and then he starts the more advanced things that I've noticed is like one time he calls me, and I'm talking to him, and I'm like, hey, so what you been up to? Oh, I've been traveling. I went to the beach, and I'm like, okay, what beach did you go to? Were you? And he lives in Georgia, and I ask him, well, did you go to the beach in Georgia, or did you go to a different state? And he starts sitting there not saying anything. It's like, well, I don't remember. And I'm like, well, do you remember what town you went to or city? And he's sitting there
He has
thinking, and
a
then his lady that he's with is like, you didn't go anywhere.
howdy.
And basically, what's going on is he's coming up with these fantasies that he's traveled somewhere, or he's going somewhere, or he's been in some kind of like situation, and it's gotten to some extreme ends where his brothers or my uncles start telling me these like stories like, hey, your dad told me the other day that he was getting chased by the mafia, and they were in the car with guns trying to shoot him. That And I'm like, what are you talking about? And basically it's not just me that's listening hearing this, it's other family members saying that he is making statements that don't seem logical. So my sister basically thinks that my dad has some kind of dementia, and because of that, I'm looking out for that, seeing if there's any kind of deficit or progression that's showing in that. And it's the problem is he lives like, what would that be, 6 hours away from me? So
Yeah.
I don't have ease of access to get over to see what he's doing or what his living condition is. Uh, Maybe possibly in June. My sister is planning on going down there. Maybe I might be able to go down there as well. But again, I don't know. So basically, what I found out is that my dad hasn't been doing things that he should have been doing. Like, as an example, when you turn 65, I believe this is in all states, you can get Medicare and Medicaid, which in a lot of cases covers most medical costs. And, like, for example, for my grandparents, it covers basically almost everything, and that essentially to me is just about what I would call free health care. But again, you have to be 60. I think you have to turn 65 or be basically 65 or older. And let's see what else has been going on. Well, so I had that stress from my dad falling into the hospital, um, but I didn't have any kind of pain or symptoms. And then, like in December, my grandfather's sister passes away. She suddenly finds out that she has cancer, and then she ends up, I think, passing away from like complications from radiation treatment. And that caused stress, and I think something from that made me basically become sick again for like a week. And for like a week in December, I pretty much was laying in bed all day, not really doing anything. But after that week, everything went away, and I was back to normal. Pretty much was all fine up until I think the beginning of April, where I started like going um, to my neighbor's place, and I noticed it's like I don't know if it's eating the food or what the case is, but I somehow I I can't really say it's from that, but I have more of a, I guess, like an idea or a guess that something in that process caused me to basically get sick again. But instead of it being like lower right quadrant, it's like in different places now. Uh,
Dog, you sure there's no fucking parasite inside your ass?
Parasite. I sure hope not. But when they did tests back in October, the only thing they found was that potassium was low, but which they basically gave me a supplement which corrected that, and that I had, I think it was like protein in the urine, which they didn't know what that was from at all, and they recommended for me to follow up with primary care physician or basically like your main doctor. Uh, but never had any issues with that, and they claimed that there was like blood in the urine, but it was such a small thing. Is they basically tested if there's any blood at all, and if it shows up, it turns positive basically. Um, but no complications from that. But what's weird is that when I started getting sick in the beginning of April, I was sick for like 2 weeks, and then got back to being normal and healthy for like 3 4 days, and then I think April 22nd,
Mm-hmm.
my neighbors had like a birthday party, and I was outdoors. I wasn't even in their place, but I was eating food there, and I suspect that something from that food caused me to get sick again, and I've been pretty much sick since, I guess, at least April 22nd. So it's like what, over 2 weeks now. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm there's no vomiting, I'm not having diarrhea. In fact, I suspect that I might even have like the opposite, or like constipation. But if I do, it's like
Oh
very
man, you
minor.
went out.
What's that? Well, anyway, so what I ended up doing was I ended up finding a new health insurance, um, and I found myself a health insurance agent.
Mhm.
who speaks English and also speaks Russian.
Yeah, it's cutting out.
And we found a good plan that's not $180, it's like a whole lot cheaper.
You've been cutting out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you were cutting out, but now we're good.
Okay. So I got myself new insurance, but it only starts up in like June, like beginning of June. So I'm basically in like what I call um, sort of like a purgatory or like a danger zone. So basically, I cannot really get sick in May. I have to basically be careful till
Mm-hmm.
June. If that makes any sense? Basically, insurance will begin to cover health costs in June, so therefore, um, I cannot run into any trouble. So what I've been doing to try to
Oh,
alleviate the symptoms, which was like, you remember I said my right side of, what would you call that? Like your right, basically, yeah, your right side was hurting. And after talking to a bunch of people, they recommended me to see a chiropractor. And I went to a chiropractor, and the guy is like, from reference, is good. But I went to see him. I think I paid, was it $60? And he did like a major adjustment of my whole like spine, my hips. He did a lot of like work on my shoulder blades, and the guy he basically put me in pain during the procedure. And he also said that he had to correct my stomach and that my stomach was like out of place. It was like lower than it should be, and it was like also pushed to the right. And he corrected
mm-hmm.
that, and that was also kind of a painful procedure because it's hands-on work, and you basically have to realign or correct the position, which is not an easy thing to do at all. And I'm surprised that I was able to get through it because of how painful it was. Oh, Umain decided. There you go. Umain, you there? Hello, Umain. Umain.
My phone is bad, bro.
You hear me now? So anyway, what I've been
Yeah.
doing now is like since I seen the chiropractor and he's done the alignment and all that, um, or I guess you could call readjustment slash realignment. Um, I have to basically be extra careful. I cannot do any heavy lifting, do anything that could potentially damage or put any part of my back out of place. So therefore,
Mm-hmm.
basically, my neighbors say, "Hey, you got to wear a brace," but I was told by a few other people that you really don't need to wear a brace. You just got to take the necessary precautions. Which for me, that would basically involve no heavy lifting, of basically anything over 10 pounds is the usual recommendation. Um, but I suspect 10, 15 pounds is fine, but it's like if it's 20 or over, that could really be potentially harmful. Um, and the only thing, and I suspect that during the process of helping my grandfather, like moving around, him getting out of bed and all that, that somehow I messed up my back. But now it's like, I have the alignment and the work done, and post procedure from the chiropractor, my back is still sore. And from talking to a nurse, they said that that's normal symptoms to feel, and usually after 48 hours it begins to go away. So this would be like what I'm at 24 hours post procedure, and it's still sore, but it's like a manageable
Yeah.
pain. But the weird thing is that my stomach hurts, and
Yeah.
it's all these symptoms have been affecting my sleep for like the last 4 or 5 days, and it's bad to the point where it's like I wake up, once an hour or once every 2 hours.
My nigga, you lagging out more than me.
Let's see, guys. Is my audio still cutting off? Let me know if it is acting up or not. What else? All right, you mains have. I think we might have some connection issues, possibly. Let me recall Umain right quick here. All right, here we go. Add. Umain lost connection. If Umain does not answer, I might have to go to Rooster as my backup. I'm gonna try to recall Umain one more time. There we go. We're back. All right, Umain, I think we are back. You there? All right, cool. I think sounds like we are back. So yeah, basically, I've been trying to take care of myself. Oh, and my grandfather was in the hospital. Yeah, that's a recent thing. Basically, all right. I think Umain's having connection issues. Umain, I can't die. My phone is overheating. I don't know why. My phone is okay. Overheating. That means you probably are not having good circulation to your what's it called? Exhaust.
Check Discord.
All right, can you hear me now?
But check Discord.
I read Discord already. Your phone's overheating is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I gotta go. This shit's hot.
Can you leave it on a table? Maybe it's not having enough air coming in contact to the phone. You have like a table or maybe a dresser or like a side table or like basically avoid having it on any kind of fabric.
I'll try. And also, I am tired, but I played soccer for 6 hours today.
You did what? Oh, you played soccer for 6 hours?
Yeah, so I am tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know this right now. Mucho cansado. Mucho cansado.
What'd you say? Are you saying Spanish? Anyway,
Mucho cansado.
I got you. But yeah, I guess I'll finish the last thing is that my grandfather got into the hospital. Uh, Basically, he was starting to look pale, and I took him to the doctor. Doctor did blood work, and basically he was like very low on iron, and they wanted to get him to a gastroenterologist, which is basically like a stomach doctor.
Yeah.
And that specialist recommended doing blood infusion, which basically would increase your hemoglobin.
Yeah, oh my god. Just go to the fucking cave and get iron, bro.
Go to where to get iron?
Go to the cave and take out iron and make it liquid and make him drink it.
Alright. Alright. But yeah, basically they did blood infusion and then they put him in hospital to see what's going on, if there's any internal bleeding, and basically the overall wellness check. And they weren't feeding him for first few
But
days.
is he not like 90 years old? Ain't your dad like 90 years old?
No, he's not 90, he's 86.
God damn.
But he's still manageable, and basically if he were to do the right thing, he would be healthy.
Oh, hold up. Side.
What?
Side.
What's up?
Already.
You're cutting out a little bit. I can't hear you fully.
How old are you? 28?
No, 27. Anyway, so basically,
Are you lying?
what are you talking about? Did I'm basically let me finish my story right quick. So they found what's called an ileus, which is basically where your food's not being digested properly in your stomach, and they corrected that. Now he's in a rehab place, but he's like really weak, and he's like being lazy and it doesn't want to do the work. So we're gonna figure out what to do from there. That's basically not my dad. What are you talking? Dude, you're doing your math wrong. I'm ta- My dad is in his 70s.
You said 86, nigga.
I said my grandfather is 86. Anyway,
I'm still 40. God damn.
I don't know what to make of that exactly.
Uh, uh,
Bro, did you see my videos where I was talking about Alex?
yeah.
You know those live streams where I was talking about Alex?
No, I don't ever watch your streams because of how busy I am.
Well, when you get a chance, you might want to take a look at a few of them. But um,
I won't get a chance. Trust me. I'm busy every day. Soccer, then homework, then
but you said soccer
work.
season's about to end, though.
Yeah. And over the summer, I don't want to spend all my time on YouTube on during the summer, So I gotta go work out.
Well, I got you there, but anyway, to kind of sum up those recent live streams, I guess. Remember Alex like disappeared for like a month and then he blocked everybody?
Mhm.
Anyway, remember he came back and then he friended me and then he's been kind of like trolling me on YouTube lately, which kind of seems really odd behavior to me because I'm trying to like add everything up. He's like gone for a month and then he starts trolling me on YouTube saying, "Yo, you did this, you did that. Oh, come on, Thigh, you could do better." Like negative kind of oriented comments, and I'm trying to make sense out of it. And it's like only him that's like saying this weird feedback. Um, so we've been trying to figure out a solution to all that. And then he's like really mad at you because of the whole like Varnity situation, and then you talking to his girl.
Oh, Nick. That's not my fault. Varney got me the fuck.
Yeah, and that's like, well, why you call me Varnity? Why do you call him Varnity? And he's getting really like mad at it.
Because he's the one that's disappearing and coming out of nowhere and asking random shit. So he's a suspect. But he goes out for 2-3 weeks and come back.
I know, but he's been like, I'll tell you an example. He recently sent to me like, "Oh, you've been taking stuff off of Twitter," and he's been like finding any like negative thing about any sort of video on my channel, and he's been like watching stuff like on my videos as far as like many months ago, and he'll go like a few months back. Oh, you don't even talk to her. That's what I thought too. Oh shit. But yeah, Alex has been I don't know how to put it. It's not like cranky, but it's like really like criticizing everything. You mean now you trying to be savage? You mean I'm talking about like issues involving getting back into like having him doing like the gaming videos or topic videos where we talk about some kind of topic like on Discord. Um, what else has been going on? Yeah, Rooster's been quiet as well. No, that's not. Why you now? You trying to be savage? No, you remember this whole situation? He was talking about like the girl like started talking to other guys or something. and then she like ghosted him. Oh man, no. Yeah. Let's. Oh, the other thing. I don't know if you've noticed, we've been getting a lot of subscribers on the Thigh Company channel as well too. I even suspect that we might even be able to beat Rooster's subscriber count by end of June.
Who gives a fuck?
Bruh. Now you being crazy. Anyway, this
Yeah,
conversation.
Homo sapiens died.
What?
Yeah, Homo sapiens died.
Anyway, man, I don't know, but we
Sapiens
gotta
died.
figure out what we're gonna do with Alex, because if he's gonna keep like randomly trolling like random videos, we have to find something about what to do.
Block that nigga.
Why? There's no reason to block him. He's not that
Block
bad.
them.
Plus, we need him for
Dog,
like the
he's worse
gaming
than
videos and
Bloodshot.
then the like the discussion topic videos.
He's worse than Bloodshot. We got
What?
America,
Whoa,
bro.
whoa,
We
whoa,
got that
whoa!
Missy
Why
Dime.
would you go as far as saying that he's worse as Blood Shark?
I said he's worse than Bloodshot. Yeah, he is.
How? In what way?
Cause Bloodshot was funny. Alex is not funny.
That's what you think?
Yes, but his attitude is shit.
Well, I know there's been sort of like an attitude concern that's been going on lately too, but I don't even
See,
know what it's
Bloodshot
like.
never cuss you out that much. See,
What that?
Bloodshot never cuss you out that much though.
What did Alex cuss me out?
No, bro. Remember when like you were calling him a lot, he started cussing you out.
Not exactly. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's been a while. Remind me what you mean. Like what are you
Oh
referring
my god, this nigga got dementia just like his dad.
to? Now you starting stuff. Are you talking about like when we last talked to him?
Yep.
I don't know, man. I
Oh
think
shit.
it's involving something completely different.
He's just jealous.
Jealous of what?
Hold on, I can see. Are you streaming?
No, I said what is Alex jealous of? I, I don't even quite understand. What is there like a competition or something that you're referring to, or what? Anyway, what else has been going on? Oh yeah,
Are you
there's a
streaming? Are
what's
you
that?
streaming or not?
We're
Are you
talking
streaming
about,
or not? Are you streaming?
bro. I'm talking about Alex.
Are you streaming though?